Welcome in, everybody, to our 2023 World Series odds live stream. Some of you will be watching the replay. Thank you, those of you catching us on your schedule. Those of you that have made an appointment to be here live, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. A little nostalgia with the opening there. I hope some of you enjoyed that, those that remember that opening. If you're watching the replay, you might not know what I'm talking about because I'm going to clip that part out, but let's move forward. So we have our 2023 World Series odds. I want everybody to hit that like if you're looking forward to the start of the upcoming season. And if you just want to show some appreciation for the channel, for the video, hitting the like is the best way to do that. We have a relatively simple like goal to get to of 100 here, so be sure to hit that like. It will help this video truly, trust me. So thank you to all that do that, and thank you to those of you that, again, thank you to those that are with me live. So we have odds for every team here in this video, and some of them are interesting. There are some teams that you look at the odds and you have to wonder if the odds makers, whether it be BetMGM, we'll take a look at the four that we're going to be relying on, DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, and BetMGM. You have to wonder, do some of these teams think that there's absolutely no chance, or is it maybe a good opportunity for you if you do like to throw a few dollars down? Now, I do not encourage anybody. I do not consider this gambling advice. This is really more just for fun as we kind of get excited about the upcoming season. So again, that is what we're going to be getting into. And I'll say this right off the bat, we can jump through 5 teams because we are, like I said, going through every single team. Dead on arrival. I'm sorry, Oakland, Washington, Colorado, Pittsburgh, my Pirates for the 2023 season. The Cincinnati Reds, you're playing this season out to basically get to next season and the continued growth with some of your young players. That is what the season is going to be about for these teams. These are obviously not championship teams. The team that really is maybe the most disappointing to see on this list is the Colorado Rockies. After the Chris Bryant signing last year, after the dollars that they doled out to their starting pitchers last year, to follow up with an offseason that was basically irrelevant. I mean, how can you, Rockies fans, I feel bad for you. I wish there was better. I feel like your front office just, I don't know what your front office is doing.
That was a half-assed effort, but fuck it. We're going to count it anyway, boys.
I mean, that's basically the approach. A half-assed effort, but F it, we're going to count it anyway. Thank you, Kevin. So we have these teams pretty much out, and we have our first instance where we can identify how this is going to go. So you can see underneath the Pittsburgh Pirates logo, you see a couple of stars. So the blue star indicates a FanDuel odd, and a black star indicates a BetMGM odd. And the number, 3,000, these are 30,000 and 20,000 odds. The number, if it is the only outlet that has those odds, because we're looking for the best odds for all of these, that will be the primary color. So this gold color here is the Caesars Sports Book. When we get to green, it'll be DraftKings. So just to give you an idea of what we are doing here. So the team I like the most out of this group is the Pittsburgh Pirates. I keep saying that. I really like what they did. They got to get the Brian Reynolds situation figured out. Once they do, I'm looking for good things. Until then, I don't know. I'm kind of worried about the Pirates season having a distraction by the way of their best player. So here are our dead on arrival teams. The next group is barely a pulse, and that's the Kansas City Royals, the Detroit Tigers, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Miami Marlins. We see Kansas City with a plus 15,000 odd. We can put Kansas City dead on arrival, but we'll help them out. They're not to the same degree as the Nats and the A's, so we move them up a little bit. We've got the Tigers at plus 10,000, Diamondbacks at plus 10,000, and the Marlins at plus 8,000. Again, remember, these are World Series odds, so we're not talking about contenders yet. But it is interesting to see the Detroit Tigers after, I mean, this is not the progression that you expect if you're the Tigers coming off of last season's offseason, those additions and the call-ups, not the call-ups, but the debuts of your top prospects to basically last year go backwards and heading into this year be considered a team that is not even close. When you're looking at these numbers, again, barely a pulse for these teams. Arizona had a fairly nice offseason with their additions, but again, in that NL West, it's going to be tough to move up. And the Miami Marlins, what do you say about that? You're just looking for that season to identify, okay, now they're going to start to really play some good ball. You got Jazz Chisholm, you got Sandy Alcantara, you have some of the pieces there, but you haven't shown strides yet. And now some of that is, Rogers last year having a bad year. Sixto Sanchez has been stuck trying to come back from injury. Some of those offensive pieces that you thought were going to take steps didn't. And Jazz spent a lot of time hurt. So Miami, this is going to be an interesting year for Miami to maybe start to take some steps to show that they can win some baseball games. You bring in Luis Ariz, you have the Cy Young winner, Alcantara, you get Jazz Chisholm back. He's out in center field now. Hopefully Miami can again show some strides. So there's our barely a pulse group. Now, let's get to the next group, tier 3, if you will, the maybe next year group. And really, these are teams that I could see having increased odds next year. Let's start with the Chicago Cubs. Now, they come into this year with a plus 7,500 from Caesars Sportsbook, but we saw all of the moves that they made. They've got some good young pieces there. You bring Dansby Swanson in. You've got Nico Horner, one of the more underrated players in baseball, I believe. Cody Bellinger's ceiling is really high. The floor is also really low, but I got to wonder if Cody Bellinger is starting to show signs of who he was, do the Cubs try to lock him up? That's going to be one of the interesting subplots for the Chicago Cubs this year. Kyle, thank you for the donation. Yankees versus Mets World Series. Kyle, as a baseball historian, those old New York, back in the days when New York had the 3 teams, right? It's I know the rest of the country might not care, but I would be very interested in a Subway Series. Again, outside of New York, I don't think anybody would care. And I'm not in New York, and I'm not a fan of either team, but I would still be fascinated because it's kind of a throwback to the days of when it would be Yankees and Dodgers, Yankees and Giants. So I'd be cool with that for 1 year. So we have the Cubs again, maybe next year for the Chicago Cubs. The Baltimore Orioles get a plus 6,600 from BetMGM and Caesars Sportsbook. The Orioles did not have a splashy offseason. They did not go out and get any really, landmark pieces via free agency. They grabbed some depth pieces, some guys that can eat some innings, but nothing really, foundation moving from the Orioles standpoint. They're just looking for their young kids to develop, and they will, and they'll be really good. So we'll keep on watching them. They get a plus 6,600. The Red Sox, this feels like a transition year for the Boston Red Sox. I would not expect this to last long. You got a plus 6,000 from FanDuel. That is the best odd that you can find. Now, again, if you're gambling, you're not taking that one. But if you're just looking for what's the betting community, how do they view the Red Sox, that's where we're looking at best. So I know best can go either way here. Just want to throw that out there. But the best odds for the Red Sox in the World Series were plus 6,000. That's not very good, I know that. But we'll look at Boston to take this as a transition year. Maybe they can surprise some people and be a 500 team, be a 90-win team, be a better than 500 team. I don't think anybody would be surprised if Boston wins 81 or 82 games, but they'd be surprised if Boston wins 90 games. Maybe they can surprise people and go to that level. They still have some really nice pieces there. There's a lot of room for improvement, don't get me wrong, but I can see Boston taking this year as almost a transition year for next year. The Texas Rangers, plus 4,000 on DraftKings. The Rangers are interesting because they made all those moves for the offense last year. This year, it was the pitching that was the focus. Also, there was some nice development with some of the pieces they already had. Adolis Garcia is one of the most underrated stars in the game. And I think Nathaniel Lowe had a breakout year last year. This is going to be his outbreak year. Everybody's going to know about Nathaniel Lowe. And Jonah Heim is one of the most underrated catchers in baseball. Excellent at framing. And when you consider the focus that was placed on their pitching, Jonah Heim is a nice piece to have back there. I think that with all those additions, one thing you didn't see them do, you didn't see them go out there and get a Christian Vasquez or somebody like that. They are comfortable with Jonah Heim, and I'm comfortable with Jonah Heim behind the plate. So I think Texas plus 4,000. This is the year. Let's see what you got. Can't consider you a World Series contender, but we want to see what you got. Again, maybe next year for the Rangers. And the San Francisco Giants are in at plus 4,000 from Caesars Sportsbook. As again, we need to see what the Giants are with some of the pieces that they lost, some of the pieces they didn't get, and what they did bring in. We got the Giants at plus 4,000 from Caesars Sportsbook. Now, the next group, 2 teams in this tier. This tier is the, you're telling me there's a no, I'm not. And we have 2 teams in this group. We have the LA, Anaheim, California Angels with a plus 4,000 from 3 outlets. In this one, Caesars Sportsbook, BetMGM, and FanDuel with a plus 4,000 for the Angels. And we have the Minnesota Twins at a plus 3,300 from FanDuel. I think we all can agree the Angels, we got to see what you got. You haven't been able to do it to this point. A ton of nice moves this offseason. Let's see how it works on the field. Let's see what you get from Ohtani. Trout, if you have a Trout injury, that could be detrimental. If you have an Ohtani trade, obviously pack up shop and go home. The Minnesota Twins, we got to see. I mean, we're in that range where let's see what you got. I don't know if it's next year for either of these teams. That's why this is kind of a funky tier. We don't know if it's maybe next year for either of these teams. They could go in a completely different direction depending on how this season goes for both of them. I know Minnesota keeps making moves to show that they're trying to win. But if you have a Buxton injury, if the pitching just doesn't work out, you've got 3 of them, I believe, in that rotation that are free agents at the end of this year. Maeda, Gray, and Molly. I mean, the whole rotation could look different. So turning points, pivotal turning points this season for these 2 teams. Quick reminder to everybody, hit that like if you have not yet. Help the stream get to 100 likes. If we are over 100 likes by the time you're seeing this, let's say you're watching the replay, then just let this serve as a reminder to hit the like and, again, help drive the views for the channel. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. We are currently at 44, so let's blow past that halfway mark if you have not hit the like yet. We continue on. We have a group now where there is blatant disrespect from the gambling community. Now, this first one, actually, after yesterday's news with Corbin Burnes, this may actually be favorable. Plus 3,500. Just pissed your best pitcher off in Corbin Burnes. He's out there giving sound bites. You don't see that often. That's how hurt Corbin Burnes was, because you usually just eat that stuff up. You don't want it to become the narrative. You don't want it to be out there. It was raw. It was emotional. Corbin Burnes is mad. He's hurt. And you wonder if it's going to impact the play. I talked about this with my Brian Reynolds video. I talked about it with the Corbin Burnes video last night. At spring training, when you're getting ready for a season, you want a player that's happy, motivated, focused. Those 3 elements are not there in any capacity for Corbin Burnes or Brian Reynolds. And it could have a major impact on the season. If Corbin Burnes has, and listen, even just throw the narrative out there. Let's say he goes out there and he starts out with a couple of rough, rocky starts. Then the narrative starts to become, well, is it because he's frustrated with his contract situation? They got to do arbitration again next year with Corbin Burnes. There is a disaster brewing in Milwaukee. But they get the plus 3,500. The Cleveland Guardians at plus 2,200. Listen, we're not close to the favorites, but would anybody be surprised if the Cleveland Guardians are in the World Series this year? Would anybody be surprised with that pitching, with the step Tristan McKenzie took last year, with the other pieces they have, with that bullpen, with that lineup, adding Josh Bell? I would not be surprised if the Cleveland Guardians are in the World Series this upcoming season. They come in with a plus 2,200. The Chicago White Sox plus 2,500. Obviously, White Sox wanted to do better last year. This number is sort of reflective of what happened last year and the year before. Can they pull it together? How are they going to perform with the new manager? So we'll see what the White Sox do, but they get a plus 2,500. I think White Sox fans would be hoping for better than that. Michael, thank you for the donation. The Giants thrive on being the underdog. Love it. Yeah, I put that, I made that point in my every fan video that I just put up. The Giants, go ahead, discount our offseason, disrespect us, overlook us. We love it. We'll be back competing again. So yes, definitely the Giants don't mind that at all. Does not bother them. So we have the White Sox. We also have the Tampa Rays. Again, the Rays could roll out of bed and win 90 plus games, and they have a plus 2,000. They did, outside of Zach Eflin, basically nothing this offseason. So they're looking for a step from Wander Franco, another step from Randy Arozarena. They're looking for their guys that they have now, Taylor Walls to improve, Vidal Brujan. They're looking for those guys to take steps. But as far as a World Series contender, not really getting any respect or any love from the gambling community. How about the St. Louis Cardinals with a plus 1,900? I can see the Cardinals winning the World Series. I can see them winning the World Series. I say that again. And they get a plus 1,900. So if I'm thinking about putting $5, $10, $100, if I do that, I'm looking at the Cardinals and I'm looking at Cleveland out of this group. These are the best odds. In green means it's coming from DraftKings. You can get higher odds if you go to FanDuel, Caesars, or BetMGM for any four of those. DraftKings is higher on those clubs than any of the others. So if you want to do that, go for that. Again, I do not encourage it because this is not gambling advice. This is just for fun. At least that's what I want to tell you. Let's go. Long but real shots. So this is the next tier. This is the tier before the tier. Long but real shots. The Seattle Mariners from BetMGM have a plus 1,600. The Toronto Blue Jays from DraftKings have a plus 1,300, and the Philadelphia Phillies have a plus 1,400 from FanDuel, Caesars, and BetMGM. I could see any of these teams winning the World Series at this point. I really could. The Seattle Mariners have the pitching. They have the hitting. The Blue Jays, if things go right, I think they underachieved last year. So some people, some bettors, some fans may be sleeping on the Blue Jays because they underachieved last year in the regular season and in the postseason. Is that who they are? Or can they right the ship this year? Philadelphia Phillies were just there. And to be getting a 1,400, we could almost put them in the tier before with the disrespect. But I don't want to do that. Listen, these are longer than what we're going to look at. But the plus 1,400 for the Philadelphia Phillies, I think part of this is Bryce Harper being out for half the year. This is something where we now are in a situation where you want to finish with the number 1 or the number 2 record in your league, so that way you can get out of that first round. And I think what we're seeing here is the betting community looking at that NL East, the Braves and the Mets, and also considering that half of the season they're going to be without their best player. Trey Turner's awesome, but Bryce Harper might be the best player on that team, though Trey Turner may make an argument for that this year. So you have that working against the Philadelphia Phillies, a tough division, and without Bryce Harper, to where you get into a spot where it may be difficult for them to finish with the number 1 or the number. I mean, they have to win the division. You have to win the division. You can't get a wild card and get a bye. So you have to win the division and have one of the 2 best records. So can the Phillies do that if Bryce Harper is not there until after the All-Star break? What's up, Blue Jays, today? How's it going, Nick and Adam? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's see, man. I know, right? We might have to bump this up and do more than just Tuesday. I was thinking about that the other day. There's actually a lot of stuff I want to talk about. Nothing groundbreaking, but there's a lot of stuff going on. We may need to get back together more than once every week. Here we go. Let's get to our next group, and it is the least favorite of the favorites. So these are the teams that are in that favorite group, but they're kind of behind by a little bit. The San Diego Padres at plus 1,000 from the Caesars Sportsbook, FanDuel, and BetMGM, and the Atlanta Braves at plus 800. And when we get to the next slide, any Braves fans will look back and say, well, wait, why were the Braves one slide behind? Because, I'll explain it to you now. We have a plus 800 from FanDuel. That's good. Every other outlet that we have here that we're counting on, DraftKings, Caesars, and BetMGM, has them at plus 1,000 or higher. I think there might even be one that was plus 1,200. So because of that, the Braves are not on the final slide, but certainly with the plus 800 from FanDuel, that's worthy that is going to be just as good as some of the odds that we're about to talk about. But with the Padres, feels like there's a lot of momentum around that club with the moves that they made, with the aggressiveness that AJ Preller has shown again and again. You have to also consider, if you're betting the Padres, what hasn't happened yet, right? This team is looking to lock up Manny Machado. Does that take any distractions away from him? You know what? When it comes to Manny Machado, I don't really think that he's going to worry about his contract. I think he's a guy that will just go play baseball and not worry about the contract. But what also you can see from AJ Preller, separately from the Manny Machado situation, is you can see trades that happen. If they're in a spot and it is June, it is July, it's getting late in the season, the sun's starting to set, and maybe they have not been able to overcome the Dodgers, or maybe they have, but there's a beast in the American League that they don't match up well with, AJ Preller is going to make a trade. So that is the other element in this. You're betting on the Padres. You're betting on not the finished product. I think more with the Padres than any other team on here because of the aggressiveness of AJ Preller. If they need something, they're going to go get it. This really feels like, listen, all these teams, it's World Series or bust, but it just feels like it's more extreme with the San Diego Padres. So they're at plus 1,000 and the Braves are at plus 800. The Braves, I'm very interested that the Braves have worse odds than the Dodgers, than the Yankees on all of these sites, because personally, I would put the Braves up there with those teams. I try to find the areas, and I really can't find one. This is one of the best offenses. That lineup is sick. That rotation, I mean, I guess if you're trying to find something, Dansby Swanson's gone. That rotation, are there worries about Charlie Morton? I don't know. But I think the Atlanta Braves may be getting a little bit of disrespect from some of those, from DraftKings, from Caesars, and from BetMGM, because, again, like I said, they had their odds at plus 1,000 or higher. Next, it's the final slide. It's the favorites. Here we go. The New York Mets at plus 750. Interesting. We have the Mets above the Braves. And it's not by much. It's close. We have plus 750 from DraftKings and BetMGM. It's close, obviously, between the Mets and the Atlanta Braves, but the Mets are getting a lot of love for the moves that they made this offseason, bringing in the AL Cy Young winner, Verlander, bringing in Quintana, Kodai Senga. By the way, Kodai Senga. Did anybody see that report about Kodai Senga having his words, so-so throwing session to start off spring training, worried about the slope of the mound? He was uncomfortable with that, and the size of the ball. The ball is bigger. Now he didn't complain about the size of the ball in the in his interview, but I'm worried about the size of the ball. What is this big pitch? It's that ghost fork ball, right? That's with a smaller baseball where your fingers, right? It's different. I don't need to explain it. You get it. If it's a bigger ball, you just can't have you can't get your fingers into the same spots you could before. Guys, I'm worried about that. But we have the Mets here. I won't go too far into that, but Mets at plus 750. We also had the Dodgers at plus 750 from FanDuel and from BetMGM. Interesting to see the Dodgers here. I would have thought the Dodgers would have been back where the Braves are, but everybody, all of these, again, let me preface this. Every team that we have, all four of these teams, have odds under plus 1,000. All right? The Braves were on the slide before because the other three had them at plus 1,000 or higher. So the Dodgers are here. All of them had them under plus 1,000. The Dodgers at plus 750. I mean, I get it. It's the Dodgers. They had a really good team, but look at what happened this offseason. I don't think I'm sleeping on them. I just feel like the rotation is obviously not as good as it was last year. Walker Buehler isn't going to be there until late in the season. The offense is not the same. You're counting on a lot of young players, a lot of rookies. You're counting on May to stay healthy and get through the season. You're counting on Gonsolin to do it again. There's too many factors here. I wouldn't touch this Dodgers. Would not touch the Dodgers. Let's go on to the New York Yankees, plus 750 from Caesars Sportsbook, DraftKings, and BetMGM. Again, everybody that is here right now, two things. hit that like if you have not yet. We want to get to our like goal of 100. And the second thing, more importantly, you see the stars. I said this at the beginning. I want to say it now because we have about 100 more people here now than we did earlier. You see the little asterisks next to these numbers? That is indicating the other book that has them. Let me make this a little bit larger for you guys so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So the Mets have 750 in green. That is an indicator that it's from DraftKings. The little asterisk being a black asterisk with a gold outline indicates BetMGM. FanDuel, 750 for the Dodgers. That's in blue because it came from FanDuel. We're grabbing the best odds from these four outlets. For the Yankees, plus 750, it's in gold. That means it's from Caesars Sportsbook. But we've got a green and a black asterisk. That means it's from DraftKings and BetMGM. Also having that odd. If you don't see the odd, or if you don't see the color, for example, Dodgers don't have green. That means if you go to DraftKings and look for the Dodgers odds, it's going to be higher than 750. Okay, just a quick reminder, explainer about how that's going. But the New York Yankees here at plus 750 from three outlets. Obviously, the Yankees are going to be competing. Maybe the best rotation in baseball. The Houston Astros will have a claim to that as well. But the New York Yankees with Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon at the top. There's certainly some question marks at the back of that rotation, but we're talking about the back of the rotation. They've got 4 or 5 guys that could fit into the back of the rotation. -1 right now with Frankie Montas being done, which that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. So you have a Yankee situation where that lineup is you bring Judge back, you bring Rizzo back. The question is, are the Yankees better than the only other team we haven't talked about? That was their mission this offseason. Did they accomplish it? We will see when they get on the field. But we have the Yankees at plus 750. And the favorite of the favorites, it's the Houston Astros at plus 500 from Caesars Sportsbook. I think we can all agree. When we start doing power rankings on Monday again, we will be starting right off with the Astros at number 1. There will be no reason to take them out of that spot, and it's probably going to take a major slump to get them out of it. The Houston Astros are going to be tough. Yes, Verlander is gone, but that rotation was deep as it was, so I'm not worried about the rotation. Yuli Gurriel out, Jose Abreu in. That's an upgrade. I really like what this Houston Astros team is going to do this year. If it wasn't the Houston Astros, I talked about this on Tuesday with the boys from Blue Jays today, with Adam. I talked about the Astros. If it wasn't the Astros and that 2017 garbage can cheating scandal was not in the background, everybody outside of maybe the AL West teams would applaud this Houston Astros formula. Dusty Baker, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Jeremy Pena, signing young players. You have the GM Dana Brown coming from Atlanta, so he's got that Alex Anthopoulos blood essentially. So one of the first things he does is he locks up Christian Javier. I would expect more of that. So you add that in the winning ways. It's one of those things where 2017 wasn't hanging out there. I think a lot of people would just stand up and applaud the Houston Astros and how they operate and how they go about their business. So those are our odds for every team. I want you to comment below, those of you watching the replay, and let me know what you think. Are there odds that are glaring to you? Again, like I just talked about a few minutes ago, I really go back to this slide right here. Cardinals and Guardians. Cardinals at plus 1,900. The Guardians at plus 2,200. Those two really stand out to me. I could see both of those teams in the world. I could see a Guardians-Cardinals World Series straight up. So I would see those as potential opportunities. And then also the San Diego Padres. We talked about the Padres over here. Plus 1,000. You're betting on not the final product. You know, AJ Preller is going to be aggressive. AJ Preller is going to be looking for ways to constantly improve the team. So whatever you're betting on, when you're betting on San Diego at this point, you know that it's probably only going to get better. Because if they are not making it to the level that they thought that they were going to make it to, AJ Preller is going to make moves to change that. We are about 25 likes away from 100. Keep hitting that like, everybody. Get us to that like goal. If you have not used your like yet, would appreciate that. I am going to do this. For those of you that are with me live, stay with me. We're going to continue talking about some of the odds. We'll do a recap for anybody that missed the beginning of the video and doesn't want to slide back and go back and rewatch it. We'll kind of do a quick recap. We'll talk more about the teams. So stay put, those of you that are live. Those of you that are watching the replay, this is where I am going to leave you. Keep hitting that like for me. Make sure to subscribe if you have not yet, and stay close to the channel, because now that we're finally getting into spring training, we can really dive into some season previews, and I want you to be here for that, and breaking news updates. Don't want you to miss any of it. So make sure to subscribe and turn those alerts on. All right, those of you that are live, hang tight. Those of you that are watching the replay, thank you for coming in and watching the video. This is where we will leave you. Make sure to check out some of the other content. I'll add some links to those videos for you to check out here. Now, appreciate you coming in. Ballcap Nation, I salute you. Thank you for the support, and I'll catch you next time.